You are now listening to Mad Ronald Radio.
Substance with a kick like a nine. Total, I mean I grip the speech maker, bring commotion, holes through your pacemaker, break you down, so your body structure.
The internet is now locked down. The internet is now locked down.
Understood a death, do a Sherm here, Della.
Mad Ronald Radio. www.madronaldradio.net.
All right, y'all. OG Mad Ronald rolling here once again. And I was just sitting here thinking about something. I had a thought. I was watching TV or something one day, and I heard somebody say that black wealth is black power. And that was such a powerful statement to be made right there, because of the fact that I think about no matter what we do, no matter what we say, that when we take into consideration if the odds are stacked against us, if the deck is stacked against black people, the whole concept of what we look at, we call racism and everything else, is nothing but financial and economical. We ourselves have failed to build equity within the communities that we come from, so we don't thrive financially. We don't thrive economically. See, and we have to consider, what does it take for us to be able to do this? And it's real funny to me, because I mean, I look around right now. I come out of a community of West Adams. The community I come out of is the community that Hattie McDaniel lived in, and she was the first black person to ever receive an Oscar, because she played the maid on Gone with the Wind way back when Gone with the Wind came out, and that was a long time ago. I come out of the community that Lena Horne once lived in. Johnny Guitar Watson lived there. Man, this goes on and on, because a lot of the black entertainers lived there, the area known as Sugar Hill in West Adams. But the thing about it that's interesting, though, is from all this black wealth that was obtained in this community, because there was once a thing called restrictive covenant, and they wouldn't allow black people to buy real estate in that area. But now, let's say later on, and I think it was around the 1940s, I think it was the 1940s, if I'm not mistaken, with the assistance of attorney Lauren Miller, they had restrictive covenants struck down. Hattie McDaniel was one of the people that led the charge on that. But the interesting thing about it was that when for all the real estate there, black people started buying up the real estate, because initially restrictive covenant prevented black people from owning real estate in that area of town. You see, because that was one of the first areas of Los Angeles that was actually settled. And that enclave of the city was an area where the millionaires lived at. See, farther up the way, if you go up Adams going towards Figueroa, when you get to like where Mount St. Mary's College is, right, which is west of Figueroa on Adams, that was owned by Ned Doheny. Ned Doheny was an oil man that came from Texas, I think it was, and he's the one they named Doheny, the street Doheny after. But anyway, they didn't allow blacks to buy real estate in that side of town. And the interesting aspect of that was the fact that after restrictive covenant was over, blacks bought a lot of real estate. When I moved to the 20s, which is where West Adams is at, when I moved to the 20s in 1975 as a child, the area was predominantly black. Black people were thriving at that time. And this is maybe 30 or 40 years after restrictive covenant, after Hattie McDaniel, and after all the celebrities had already passed on and left the property to their families or whatever. But the interesting thing about that was that black people were still thriving. Black families were still owning the real estate. So we ourselves had equity. You see, because to own real estate is to have equity. That means that you got something that you can invest money in to increase the value of. So, through the improvements that were made to the homes, whatever was done to the homes to make them better and upgrade the standard of living, increased the value of the home. So that's what we call equity. But that was something that you could build on. And when I say build on it, I mean that's something. Let us say, for instance, if you want to buy another home, you own a home. There's a substantial value that gives you a great credit rating and provides you with practically everything you need, just simply because of the fact that you are the owner of one space, and it grants you the opportunity to buy another space. At the same time, it also granted you the opportunity, if you wanted to send your kids to college or something, then you didn't have to do too much but just take a loan against the home that you lived in, and figure out the means and ways of management, and just be able to send them off to wherever it is that they were accepted to. Now, I say all that to say this. Fast forward to 2019. The black people right now in West Adams, we don't have that much. In Los Angeles, we don't have that much. We are something like 9% of this population. And the thing about us now is that we don't have a thriving black community in Los Angeles like that, where we have, let us say, 90% of the homeowners are black. We might have areas where we're 90% of the renters, but we'd be renting from someone of another nationality, of another race. You see what I'm saying? So being that we would be in a situation like that, then that means that a thriving kind of economy in that population will be going to whatever the other race is. Now, I look at empowerment financially as us owning where we live, us owning where we work. This is so important because of the fact that first and foremost, we must be in control of the space that we occupy as our residence. We must be in control of the space that we occupy as the space of our employment. We must work on being our own bosses. We must work on controlling our own companies, because then we control our own fate. You see, I look around Los Angeles now, and what I can see as what looks like the mistake to me, it's too many of our people that's looking for the easy way. And when I say the easy way, I mean that they're not out here trying to get it. I wake up every morning at 5 o'clock. I'm on my feet by 6. I'm out the door by 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm out grinding. I own my own business. So I'm in the service industry, and I provide a service. So I go to people's homes and I provide the services that they need at their homes. I get out here and I do it, and I get it, and I be out here on my game every day. But when I talk to other black men and I say, well, what you been doing all day? Man, they telling me about how they've been sitting up smoking weed all day, or by the time I come back and make a loop around and come back and want to check them out and holler at them and hang out for a little while, they might still be in the bed. You see what I'm saying? The reality of this is that when it comes down to the meat of this all and we're looking at this for what it truly is, we got to look at how is our time spent, because time, effort, and energy is what accounts for the quality of what our days are, the value of what our days are, because of the fact that every minute has got to add up, because at the end of the day, it's got to amount to something. And like I say, as a people, we got to look at, we got to educate ourselves. If you don't know nothing, education is free. It was Napoleon Hill that said in the book Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill stated that the United States was the greatest country on earth because education is free. It doesn't take nothing to gain education here. I mean, you can learn and learn and learn all you want, man. I am 51 years old right now, and I'm still in school learning. I'm in school right now studying telecommunications right now, because I'm looking not to be a technician. I'm looking to be the contractor. I'm looking to be the person that's calling the shots, that's running the job. But I have to educate myself first. I got to be willing to get up. See, because of the fact that, number one, remember this, and I want y'all to take this to heart. The best way to get on your feet is get off your ass. Get up, get out, and get something. Because that's all you can do to make it happen. Otherwise, you're going to go without. Otherwise, you're going to lack and you're going to slack. And there's no room for that, because we live in a time, we live in a space, we live in an era where if you ain't keeping up, you get left behind. And the thing about all this is that we have to be willing to do what it takes, because we got another generation coming up behind us, or we got many more generations coming up behind us, where it's our job to teach by example. It's our jobs to lead by example. We have to be willing to do what it takes, man. Get up and get out there and get it. If you don't know how, ask questions. Find somebody around you. Find out, get them leads. Because if you're sitting around looking, you're just gonna be looking all day, man. The old friend of mine, an old mentor of mine, one of my great mentors out the streets once told me, he said, by the time that a fool catches on to the game, the players have gone home. And that is so important, because it seems like we're not catching on to the game, man. It seems like we're lacking and slacking. economically, we need to be on a whole nother level of this game to where our economical status should be in the billions. We are the greatest consumers. If they make it's a brand, if Jordan puts something out, we will spend millions on it. If Nike puts something out, if anybody puts out a brand, we're going to buy into it. If Cadillac puts something out, we want the first one. But we're not manufacturing. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to think about being the manufacturers and the creators of these brands. We have to think about empowering ourselves to the extent to where we are the people and we're not the people buying what the people are creating. Because of the fact that all that money goes outside of our community. The greatest thing economically that I think that I've heard financially, I think that the greatest thing I've heard in my time, in my era, was from the brother Muhammad Nasruddin, rest in peace. Muhammad Nasruddin, before he passed, he used to be on the radio and in a Sentinel newspaper. I used to read about him, and he had a thing called recycling black dollars. And recycling black dollars, that was just a powerful slogan to me, because he talked about how the black dollar flipped. He talked about how many times did it flip before it left the black community. And that was so powerful to me because of the fact that I had to take into consideration, how is it that I spend my money? There were days that he spoke of where they had what we called a blackout. And a blackout meant that you just wouldn't spend money with nothing but black stores, black people that are in business. And that is so important because of the fact that in order to be prosperous, we have to learn these things. Everyone else does this. If I'm a merchant and I myself am a retailer and a seller, then I want to find a black manufacturer to deal with, because that makes my dollar flip one time. You see what I'm saying? Now, if I'm a merchant, I want black customers, because now between the customer, between me, and between my black manufacturer, that dollar's flipped twice. And as we go, we'll grow as we go. But we want our money to maintain and stay in our communities. It's hard, though, because of the fact that we're going to look at the quality of what it is that we sell each other. At the same time, we're going to look at the aspects of this from many different angles and say, well, he wants too much. He look like me, black, he wants too much. You see what I'm saying? Rather than being reasonable. But sometimes we got to support each other because of the fact that we got to make it work. And making it work means that we got to figure out that means of empowerment. See, we talk about a black nation. The first level of unification of a black nation, we got to think about economics and finances. We have to think about what does it take in order for us to be able to do what we need to do. We've lost our stake in the real estate in Los Angeles. But that don't mean nothing, because we can get it back. But this time, let us be smart. Let us buy into the businesses. Let's buy up these storefronts. Let's open up businesses. Let's open up the mom and pop shops. I was in Atlanta, and I just tripped off of the way that Atlanta was because of the fact that there were so many black people in business. They were generating cash flow. And I was just amazed by that because of the fact that it's just so different when you look at the way things are in Los Angeles. And I mean, to take into consideration what it takes in order to be able to generate money like this is to look up and say, dang, man, you know what I mean? These people really got this stuff together, because they understand the value of a dollar, and they understand that 1 makes 2, 2 makes 10, 10 makes 100, 100 makes 1,000. You see what I'm saying? If we can generate it and make it grow as we go, then we can turn it into whatever we want it to be. And for each and every individual, you know what I mean? We all have the opportunity, man. There are classes that you can take. I will tell you, man, like I went to A. Freeman's Occupational Center in downtown Los Angeles, man. I'm A+ certified. I'm A+ certified computer repair. I was in Susanville, and they made me take a vocational janitorial class, which I didn't want to, but I didn't have a choice. So what I did was, the part of it that I took interest in was carpet cleaning. I've actually had the opportunity to start a business and make it prosper and make it pay me to the point to where I can eat off of this. See, as we think about the world, as we think about all these things, we got to think about what is our skill set and our level of knowledge. If you don't have knowledge and a skill set, learn. Be open to learning. If you don't have someone around you to teach you something, then get in one of these classes. They have janitorial classes that take less than 3 months to complete. And you can get into a janitorial class or something. Just say 3 months, you're done. Now you eating, you feeding your family, and the world is working for you the best way it can. And that's what it's about. Because there's nothing greater than being a man. And being a man means that you go home at the end of the day with whatever you've made, everything that you've accumulated throughout that day as your wages. Now you can feed your family. Now, you see, you're not worried about going to jail because you didn't go out and commit any crimes. You did what a man does and you worked for it. There's pride that goes with that. There's a lot of pride that goes with that. By having the opportunity and the ability to work for your funds, for your money, what that means is that you yourself have the ability and the capabilities to be able to have time for your family. See, you might be tired when you walk through the door, but that don't mean nothing about for the rest of the day or the rest of the week. You're not out here struggling. You're not out here running from the police, ducking and dodging and worrying about prison, because that's not a part of the equation. But as you grow, as you go, you must always think about evolution and growth. And the evolution of this here is us owning our own business. It's us being a people, being able to do what we need to do. And when I say being a people, being able to do what we need to do, that means that we need to be acquiring business licenses so we can legally set ourselves up as entities and generate cash flow to take care of our families and be able to teach our kids how to run these businesses so that we can pass down these finances, and then maybe we can create a multi-generational level of wealth. And that's very important because of the fact that if we can create multi-generational wealth, then what we're able to do is now that puts us in positions to where we can create monopolies and we can empower our own people and teach what we know, and they don't have to go to school. Now we can pass down multi-generational wealth to our children. And what that does for our children is that now we can assure that our grandkids and our great grandkids will go to college. We need to start learning things like finances. We need to start learning things like accounting, business. We need to be knowing these things, but everybody's not cut out for that. So some people are going to have to learn how to use their hands just as well as use their heads. You see what I'm saying? So that means if you're not academic, if numbers ain't your thing, then you might be a hands-on. You might have to learn plumbing. You see what I'm saying? And some of the brothers are coming out the state penitentiary with these skills. And I mean, if you got these skills, don't let it go to waste. Put it to use. Do the best you can do. Be the best you can be, man. Because I'm telling you right now, man, it's like this here. The worst thing in the world is wasted talent. Don't sit back and do nothing. Do something. We're trying to generate money. We're trying to create. I don't care. We talk so far outside of the realm of just existing, because to exist is just to exist, to just be. To live is to exist and enjoy all of the things that you deserve in life and everything that you got coming to you. So take advantage of those opportunities and make the world work for you, because it's your world. And I mean that. So from here, I'm going to wish you all health, wealth, peace, and prosperity, and wish you all the greatest levels of safety. At the same time, y'all don't forget, like this, share it, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? This is OG Mad Ronald Rolling, and I'm out. I want y'all to be safe, and I want y'all to know, you know what I'm saying, hey, it gets greater later. And don't think about money, because what my daddy told me about money was that you don't remember your first dollar and you ain't seen your last one. So keep that. So I want y'all to marinate on that and keep that in mind right there. Next time you're sitting down and you having a great problem with money, because it's much more in your future and it's going to be very prosperous. All right, y'all. I'm out. This has been a Mad Ronald Radio Network production. Please like, subscribe, and share our content. Be on the lookout for upcoming guests and podcasts, and also our live stream and live broadcasts. Mad Ronald Radio Network podcast and shows can be found on Spotify, iHeart, and iTunes. You are tuned in to OG Mad Ronald. This is Mad Ronald Radio. I would like to thank you for tuning in. What would podcast radio be without Mad Ronald Radio?
Hi there, Doc. They missed. Now you're through. If you ain't out of town by tomorrow morning, you won't never leave it except in a pine box. I'm taking over the territory. From now on, it's mine.
www.madronaldradio.net